Hello everyone, this is Lexicon Architect. In today's video, we're going to be looking at a best of one build in the format standard called Orzhov Lifegain. I've been playing in best of three without a sideboard, and I've been doing pretty well with it. I have about a 73% win rate, so we're going to hop into the deck and see what it's doing. At mana value 1, we have Authority of the Consuls, which slows down our opponent and allows us to gain life whenever a creature enters the battlefield under our opponent's control. Next, we have Case of the Onion Feast. Whenever a creature we control enters the battlefield, we gain 1 life, and if we gain 5 life in a turn, we solve it, which allows us to sacrifice it and play creature cards from our graveyard this turn. Next, we have Ruin Lurker Bat. It is a 1/1 with flying and lifelink that says at the beginning of your end step, if you have descended, you get to scry 1. So if a creature was put into your graveyard this turn, you get to scry 1, which allows us to stack our deck the way that we want it. At mana value 2, we have Amelia that says whenever you gain life, you explore. So you look at the top card of your library. If it's a permanent card, you may keep it there and put a counter on it. If not, you can put that card into the graveyard. And then for them to target this, they have to pay 3 life. And then also, if it does have 20 or more counters on it, we wipe the board, and this is the only card that remains. Next, we have Ruin Lurker Bat, which has lifelink and allows us to look at our opponent's hand to take a card that we don't like. Next, we have Elas, a 2/2 with Death Touch that says whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield, you gain a life. And then whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life. So sometimes there are scenarios our opponent decides to wipe the board. We have a bunch of creatures on board, and we get to trigger this, allowing us to get that last bit of damage through. Next, we have Essence Chandler. As long as you lost life this turn, it has flying and vigilance. And then whenever you gain life, you put a 1/1 counter on it. And then when it dies, you get to distribute those 1/1 counters onto another target creature. Next, we have Lunar Convocation. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, each opponent loses 1. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain and lost life this turn, you create a bat token, a bat creature token with flying, and then you can pay 2 to pay 2 life to draw a card, which is good because it allows us to keep our hand loaded and drawing cards in case our opponents do somehow clean up our board. We can kind of like draw our way back into the game. And then lastly, at mana value 2, this is the card that puts the deck over the top. So for 3 mana, you can make an offspring copy of it. This creature cannot block, unfortunately, but whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. These stack for each of them on the battlefield, so we can close out the game with either 2 to 3 or 4 copies of this on board. We're just going to drain our opponent every time we gain life, and sometimes our opponents attack into us not realizing that we have this on board. We block with a bat, and we get to gain life and then drain them for the last bit of damage that they have. And then lastly, at mana value 3, Zoraline Cosmos Caller, 3/3 with flying and vigilance that says whenever a bat you control attacks, you gain 1 life. Mostly all of our creatures are bats in this deck. And then for 2 mana, whenever it enters or attacks, you can return target non-land permanent from your graveyard with mana value 3 or less with a finality counter on it. And that's it for the deck. We curve out at mana value 2, and this deck is super duper cheap for anyone who's trying to get into standard that doesn't want to spend a lot of money. This deck is solid, as it's only $56. It's cheap. So I hope you enjoyed this video and have a good day.